What's up, everybody? My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Umineko When They Cry Answers Arc. This should be the last episode that's pre-recorded, so as of next episode, I'll actually be able to read your comments. So, yay! Happy Monday! Even though it is frickin' Wednesday as I record this. No, Tuesday, even. I'm getting ahead of myself. Jesus. Anyways, last episode, Willard talked to Maria and we learned quite a bit about Beatrice as well as Maria, and why Maria thinks she's a witch, how Maria first met Beatrice, and that actually reminds me of something regarding the existence of a human Beatrice. I don't know how it took me this long to remember this, but in the fourth game, when Battler was, like, his trial or whatever, if Battler's perspective is objective, that Beatrice is real. So, yeah, that alone kind of confirms, oh, there's a Beatrice who is real. So, yep, write that down in the fucking books. Shannon, Cannon, and Beatrice are the same person, and Beatrice is real. But either way, let's just jump back into this. I'm assuming, well, Willard said the next thing he's gonna do is ask Jessica and George about Beatrice, which I don't know if this is gonna go to an hour somehow. This might be a 30-minute chapter, I'd imagine. But, whatever, let's do it. I apologize for our successor's lack of courtesy back there. It's not going to leave a mark, is it? Talk about merciless. Did you say something, Jessica? Of course not! I've already, learned my lesson, okay? Leon, who had apparently been chatting with the adult siblings, spun around with a smile and stared at Jessica. Looks like the older siblings firmly in control around here. Those are some sharp ears. I think I'm finally getting this Leon person. Yeah. Our successor's always been weirdly sharp, and the adults are always gushing about that kid. And I'm always getting compared to that, both at home and at school. Come to think of it, Leon was the student council president during both middle school and high school, and the head of the badminton team too. So everywhere you go, you get compared to Leon, and it doesn't match up too well for you. I said it as soon as I got into middle school. Our successor was already the vice president of the student council. I said, if you're planning to become student council president next year, that'll just put more pressure on me, so stop it! But the next year rolls around, and guess who announces their candidacy and wins by a landslide election? Same thing again in high school. I said, please, just give it a rest this time. You're already vice president. But when year 3 rolls around, our successor gets this council president job again. Dad was oh so proud. Mom kept saying, now you make sure you do your best as a little sister, over and over and over again. Ah! But even so, you were still proud to be Leon's little sister, weren't you? It's not like I ever thought of it that way. Yeah, of course not. Why would I? It can be tough to be compared against perfection. But other people are other people, and you are you. There's no point letting it get you down. Live how you want to with all you've got, and you'll be fine. Of course. But Mom and the others are always going on about how I need to follow in Ushiromiya Leon's footsteps as a little sister. They keep telling me to go join the student council to go play badminton. You don't play in a rock band, do you? What? Shh! That's a secret, okay? Apparently she's keeping it a secret from her family. Interesting. People tend to blame things on their family and how they were raised. But this Jessica girl always likes doing the same thing, even in a different world and a different family. It's admirable that she has such a true and constant interest in something. I loved it. That Peton Peton song. That Dokyun Dokyun song. Oh no, that's fucking Willard saying that. I loved it. That Peton Peton song. That Dokyun Dokyun song. Shh. Nothing wrong with the extraordinarily accomplished sort, like Leon, but kids who act their age do have their charms. That's the best way to go through life. Enjoy your youth to the fullest. Thanks. Apparently, no one had ever told Jessica that they approved of how she lived, and the direct way Will had put it made her turn red and hang her head in embarrassment. I want to ask you two now. The same thing you just asked Maria? Yeah. Please tell me everything you know about Beatrice. Well, you can see how much Maria loves witches and the occult. For her, Beatrice is a symbol to be admired, like an anime heroine. Whenever some trivial thing happens, she believes it's some witch pranking her with magic. You really are an adult, and so is the fact that you'd never say that to Maria, even if you think it. Of course. Childhood dreams only happen when you're a kid. I think respecting that precious experience is an adult's responsibility. Looks like the two of us will get along well. George's position was that Beatrice was nothing more than a fairy tale. However, that phrase, respecting a child's dreams, is the adult thing to do, that might be worthy of further scrutiny. When she got candy from Beatrice by magic, Maria probably got excited and told George and the others. Then the adults followed his lead and actively supported that story, as adults should. However, we can conceive of a similar situation coming up besides an adult interacting with a child. For example, what about a subordinate interacting with a superior? If Kinzo, tyrant of the Ushiromiya family, claimed that Beatrice existed and had revived, perhaps the other members of the family would actively support that story as his subordinates should. Though Beatrice only appeared directly in front of a limited number of people, it's probably safe to say that the concept of her existence penetrated deeply within the Ushiromiya family, even among those who had never seen her. However, no matter how deeply that concept penetrated, she was only viewed as a sort of fairy tale character. I actually just remembered something. In Chapter 1, after, the first Twilight, but before Eva and Hideyoshi died, like, as far as my series go, I think it was the episode before Eva and Hideyoshi died. It was titled, like, Cult of Belief or something like that. And that was Maria, Kanon, Kumasawa, and Genji all talking about Beatrice. I don't remember if Nanjo was there either, but they were all just like, oh, Beatrice is right behind you, Battler. And Battler's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? You guys are creepy, I'm out. But in hindsight, and after what Maria told us about who has seen Beatrice, that makes a lot of sense now. They were all fucking in on it. I don't know if this means Maria was also an accomplice in all of the games. It's possible, I suppose, but not really probable since she's 9, but whatever. However, no matter how deeply that concept penetrated, she was only viewed as a sort of fairy tale character. It would be necessary to transform the concept of that character from an imaginary fairy tale into reality. So a person attempting to do this would need to perform acts that no one could explain without magic. These acts were the witch incidents, starting with the window opening pranks played by Beato the Elder, and ending with the closed room murders. Beato the Elder talked about this, saying that the anti-magic power filling the mansion would be weakened bit by bit the more she made her existence known. Beatrice. Why were you willing to go so far to make everyone besides you accept your existence? Because that fiction will become the truth if everyone acknowledges it. Because at that moment, the being called Beatrice will be acknowledged and will become human? In that case, until Beatrice is acknowledged by all people, she's less than human. She's furniture. Why would furniture want to become human? I seem to remember this being a theme in the previous game. It's because they want to gain a right. Furniture cannot fuck. Furniture cannot fuck. So, they try to become human because they want the right to fuck. I know it's love, but that's just funny to me. It's extremely simple. After all, it's directly connected to the reason Chick Beata was born in the first place. Let's see. I understand, but it's complicated. Yeah, you can't neglect the heart. I feel bad for saying this at Beatrice's funeral, but truth be told, I don't know enough about this person Beatrice to tell you much about her. My apologies. Jessica does live here, so she might know a little more than I do. Speaking of which, have you introduced yourself to this gentleman yet, Jessica? Not yet, actually. There's this idiot going around pinching people's butts, so I didn't really have the chance. A bit late, Jessica looked embarrassed for acting rudely in front of an unfamiliar guest. She cleared her throat and made a beautiful bow that didn't fit well with her normal attitude. She even lifted the corners of her skirt in a curtsy.
Pleased to meet you. My name is Jessica. Allow me to welcome you to the Ushiromiya family on this splendid day. Please enjoy our hospitality, and...
Willard. Call me Will. It's like Ventus. Call me Ven!
Huh? Huh? What?
Jessica's greeting had been of the old-fashioned sort, so Will also treated her like an old-fashioned lady, bending down on one knee, taking Jessica's right hand, and kissing it. Not expecting her greeting to be returned in such an old-fashioned informal way, Jessica turned red and was unable to speak. However, Will had returned the greeting in what he thought was a perfectly serious way, so he didn't understand what was making Jessica's face glow. Have I done something strange?
No, not at all.
I want to hear what you know about Beatrice. A sparkle leaked around the edges of Will's right hand, which was grasping Jessica's hand. Okay. Looks like the theater-going power is having its effect on Jessica. Didn't mean for that to happen. Oh well. She doesn't have a supernatural variant, though. Like how Kinzo and Maria did.
Beatrice, is it? Well, I can tell you, but will you promise me something? Promise you won't laugh. Thinking about it now, it sounds more than a little crazy.
What is it you know? I won't laugh. Tell me. Also, I'm gonna do this for a second. I'm not gonna go into any... well, I might as well open this, just in case I want to talk about anything. So I actually thought of something after recording the last episode, as far as why, basically. Because ever since Willard showed up, I've just been thinking, yeah, why the fuck would Shannon Cannon and Beatrice, as the same person, commit this fucking game where they kill everybody, like, literally fucking everybody. Like, yeah, there's obviously the reason of fucking with Battler, because, oh, it's Battler's sin. They did it because of Battler, but I'm not fully convinced that it's just Battler. Like, any normal person, if they wanted to fucking get at Battler, they would prank Battler. Like, yeah, this whole fucking series of serial murders, leaving him as one of the last ones always. Yes, that does obviously make him feel upset and scared. And if that's what they're going for, then yeah, that's the why. But I was also thinking, that alone doesn't make much sense. I don't really have any particular reason for why I believe that. It's a perfectly reasonable motive, but I feel like it's also too easy. With what I went on about last episode, with how Maria could be a different personality of sorts to Maria, like how Shannon and Cannon are different personalities, and how Eva Beatrice could be an alternate personality to Eva, I neglected to mention how the Goldsmith could be an alternate personality to Kinzo. So, yeah, there's that. So that makes me think, okay, why Kinzo, why Eva, why Maria, why Shannon, why Cannon? I'm thinking it's a cult of sorts. Like, okay. Might be a little bit hard to explain because I don't really have the best basis for this. This could be dead fucking wrong. But it's still just something I want to bring up just in case they delve into cult shit in the 8th episode, because this episode seems to focus a lot on the why. Like, as far as the Answers arc has been going, episode 5 seems like, for the most part, it was about, like, how. Like, how can these serial murders actually happen by only giving us a small but complicated snippet of a full game. The 6th game was about love and who, I would imagine. This one seems to be exploring why so far, so if episode 8 jumps into some other random shit to help me piece it together, like if it jumps into cults, if it jumps into DID, all that could be combined into a cult-like thing as the motive and also the identity and how. I still think the 4th game was all just kind of a... like, I don't know if I ever went into detail on this. I don't remember at all, in fact. I'm pretty sure the fourth game at this point was, like, everybody, aside from, I guess, Genji, Kumasawa, and Nanjo, as well as, of course, Shannon and Kanon, were all, aside from Battler and Maria, I suppose, and Kinzo, who was obviously dead, and Leon, who didn't exist, it's all a, not really a game, but like a great conspiracy. I think all of these characters, Rosa, Rudolph, Kyrie, Eva, Hideyoshi, Kraus, Natsuhi, Jessica, and George, were all unwilling accomplices. Well, George might have been a willing one. I'm still not fully convinced that George isn't an accomplice in every game. And I'm still not convinced that Kumasawa is one, but after what Maria said last episode, I don't think there's any reason to suspect that she isn't. Also, it is possible that Maria is an accomplice in every game too, but more just for, like, less with carrying out the crimes and more with, like, controlling the crowd, which might be why Maria is often left for last in a lot of these games, which leads me to not know why she was killed as one of the first in the fifth game, perhaps because it was just easy mode, like, oh look, she's 9 years old and she's already supposed to be dead in Erika's eyes, so let's just kill her anyways. It sucks that I have to get rid of such a useful accomplice. But either way, yeah. The whole thing with cults, though, is that would explain the magic circles other than it just being a witch. Like, this whole Beatrice thing. Obviously, Beatrice is a real person, and they are the alternate personality to Shannon, Kanon, and Culprit, if that's even a person at this point. It could just be the three, and Beatrice is the primary personality. That could be the case. Or it could just be, again, a conspiracy, and Shannon and Kanon aren't real personalities, and they're just faces that Beatrice puts on. But when it comes to Maria, Eva, Kinzo, and potentially people like Jessica and George and Rosa, and maybe even Battler at this point, I don't even know, they could have alternate personalities as part of a cult of sorts. I realize I'm kind of talking in circles because I don't really know how to explain what I'm thinking. It's like, I think it's possible that that Shannon, Kanon, Beatrice is spreading a conspiracy throughout the Ushiromiya family that develops alternate personalities and basically makes everything go crazy. It could be possible that the murders never even happened. Well, obviously there's the Red Truth, so I guess that doesn't really count. But, like, all these people with alternate personalities, I don't know if the alternate personalities or supernatural versions imply that they are accomplices to Shannon, Kanon, and Beatrice, because Shannon and Kanon don't have supernatural alternatives. They don't. They are the only ones who have been shown to have supernatural powers on screen. That's a lie, actually. I'm stupid. Because Genji had that one scene where he was, like, mending the wounds of Shannon and Kanon in the third game, I believe. And then Jessica and George, of course, in the fourth and sixth game. Well, George less so. Jessica much more so. And then there's Kyrie with her fucking, like, envy scale or whatever. I don't know what to make of a lot of it. I don't know if it means, like, if someone's used supernatural powers in this or turned into a witch, I don't know if that means they have been an accomplice before, if it means they're an accomplice in this game. Because if it's a factor of, oh, they're an accomplice in this game, then that would mean Jessica, Natsuhi, and Kyrie are accomplices in the sixth game, which Shannon, Kanon, and Beatrice did not commit the murders in. Like, perhaps Kanon, who died on the second Twilight, but that's it. We don't know how Battler died in the sixth game, even though it said that he died on the first Twilight. But Erika was the one who killed Natsuhi, Eva, Rosa, Kyrie, and Maria. So, yeah, there's that.
So I'm not really sure how occult actually factors into it, and at this point I might as well stop talking, because I don't have any idea at this point, and I've kind of talked myself in a circle, and now I don't know what to think. I guess that's really just the thing about Umineko. You just talk, you just theorize and theorize and theorize. I don't know what I'm thinking about. What does this mean? This has to be important. What is this? Like... Like, who is Gap? Again, back to that point. Who the fuck is Gap? It could be the another alternate to Eva. It could be, like, the supernatural version of Eva, not the witch Eva, but that would mean Eva is an accomplice in all of the games, which it would make sense that Maria wouldn't know, in that case, that Eva has interacted with Beatrice. I think that's a possibility, because Maria is only on the island at the same time as Eva during the family conferences, but we have been shown time and time again that the other parts of the family have come to the island at different points, especially Eva, Hideyoshi, and George. Those three seem to come to the island the most out of the three branches of the family. So between Eva's family, Rudolph's family, and Rosa's family, Eva seems to come to the island the most, and Rudolph's the least. So it's possible that Eva only comes to the island this much in order, like, not only with Kraus and finding out about Kinzo, but also to talk to Beatrice. Because Rudolph and Rosa seem to care just as much about, Rudolph and Rosa seem to care just as much about Kraus's embezzlement of funds and Kinzo's life or death status. However, they don't come to the island nearly as much as Eva, it seems. I might just be unintentionally lying here, because I can only remember one time where Eva actually came to the island, but it seemed like it was a common occurrence at that point, and it was at the beginning of Chapter 2, where Eva said something to Shannon about just like, hands off my boy, or whatever the hell that was. But, like, the whole way I remember that scene playing out, it made it seem like this is a common occurrence. Meanwhile, when Maria shows up on the island along with Rosa, it seems to happen like maybe once or twice a year, excluding the family conference. And Rudolph, I don't think we've seen Rudolph, Kirei, and Battler on the island at any point other than a family conference. So, yeah, I like how I just kind of stopped talking about that cult thing, because honestly, I don't really know what to say at this point about the cult. I hope someone at least understands what I'm trying to get at. How the whole Beatrice and multiple personalities thing is a conspiracy started by Shannon Cannon and Beatrice, and spread it to Nanjo, Genji, Kumasawa. Nanjo doesn't even have a supernatural alternative, I wouldn't think. Like, let's actually look at the second page. Is there... well, there's, like, no one here. So, it's possible that there is no other person. Have I ever seen your original art? I don't think I have, actually. Huh. Like, it could be... It is possible that there's somebody who is Nanjo's supernatural alternative, but I have no idea who that could be. It's not any of these three, because that's... I'm supposing Eva, Kumasawa, obviously, and Genji, obviously, and then there's the Seven Sisters of Purgatory, who are just personifications of the actual stake weapons, and don't have real-life counterparts, I wouldn't think. Just like the Chester sisters. Well, the Chester sisters have real-life counterparts as the guns and as Maria's rabbit toys, but that's about it. Whatever. Let's just continue reading. Sure. Where should I start? Okay, does she have a supernatural version? To me, the Golden Witch Beatrice is sort of like one of the 7 mysteries of the Ushiromiya family. You could say the 7 wonders. You've heard of those, right? Almost all schools have a set of tall tales or ghost stories that get passed down, perhaps in Japan. Like, on Sundays, the piano in the music room will start playing by itself, or the skeleton in the science room dances around at night. Everyone's heard of them, but of course that doesn't mean they believe in them. The stories about Beatrice were the same. It was just one of those strange tales about our way too big mansion. The servants would sometimes talk about seeing things during their night patrols. Sometimes I felt a bit annoyed about them turning my home into a place for ghost stories, but I didn't pay it any more attention than that. That's how little it mattered to me. So during my normal everyday life, I would completely forget about the name Beatrice. Of course, when that huge portrait was first hung, it definitely felt creepy. Even I tried not to meet her eyes after dark, so it's no surprise that the servants found it eerie. But that only lasted for a short while. We all walked by the portrait every day. We gradually got used to it and eventually bored of it. I didn't really care anymore about the portrait of the mistress from Grandfather's Delusions. I get that. I'll bet it was different for the other relatives who only came a few times a year. Exactly. That's why every time the family came for a family conference, they'd always stand in front of that portrait and talk about Beatrice. So I was reminded of it every now and then. Oh, Beatrice! I've come to play again! I've written a new spell! Take a look at it later, okay? Oh! You really do like Beatrice, don't you? You've been in such high spirits ever since Grandfather had this portrait hung. Huh? Where's Angie? She went back with Aunt Kyrie to take some medicine. Her body really is frail. Totally the opposite of Battler. Are we ever gonna see, like, Angie in 1986? Or does she really not matter until she grows up? She's the sort that gets sick whenever she's stressed. I also used to get sick on big holidays or trips. Maria's really tough by comparison. She's been talking about Beatrice non-stop since we left Beep Boop. Don't you think she's taking this a bit too far? It's not so bad, right? It's normal for kids to have an active imagination. If a kid told you that she'd met Santa Claus, would you tell her she's a liar? But of course I wouldn't go that far. Maria kept talking to the portrait as though it was an old friend. She promised to play with it later, as if she was talking to a living human. George, a man, seemed to think that this behavior from a younger member of the opposite sex was cute. That's an odd sentence, but alright, go off. But to be perfectly frank, Jessica, who is the same sex as Maria, found this behavior a bit unpleasant, even though she realized that she was dealing with a younger girl. At one time, even I was fascinated by anime heroines and other fictional characters. However, Maria's behavior seems to signify something more direct than mere fascination. It's something more definite, more vivid. Am I the only one who notices something odd about her? I bet the others all notice too, but try to ignore it because of that adult dignity George is always talking about. Entrance to the mansion, the dining room. Are we still in the chapel? Where's this now? What's going on now? My apologies, everyone. The head is quite busy with his noble research. He wishes to eat lunch in his study today. Until a second ago, Kinzo's children had been complaining that eating lunch with their father would give them indigestion. But now that they knew he wasn't coming, they started grumbling about how he should at least spare the time to come down during the annual family conferences. Also, I think, yep, dog bark.
Then let us begin lunch, everyone. I, Goda, have made use of all my talent and experience to make sure that you guests, who have come from so far away, will be entirely satisfied with your meal.
No one's stomach would fail to rumble after hearing that from the great chef Goda. By the time the splendid dishes were laid out, everyone had stopped talking about Kinzo's absence. It was now Angie's absence that was being discussed. Apparently her stomachache had gotten so bad that both she and Kyrie couldn't make it to lunch. That's an interesting plot device so that you don't need to draw a sprite for a young version of Angie. Poor thing. Goda, make sure you talk to Kyrie later and have some porridge made.
Thanks for the concern. Sorry about all this. It seems she just can't handle much stress.
That's how it is with young'uns. They're cute, at least when they're not regurgitating.
George used to do that all the time. He really was frail way back then, right?
Oh, let's not talk about the past. It's not exactly a mealtime topic. Oh, poor Angie. So she won't get to eat this yummy food? Yeah, poor kid. Let's make sure we play with her a lot when she gets better. Oh, no way. She can't play with me.
I forgot, Maria has like some weird vendetta against Angie.
What are you talking about? Why? Because I'm gonna play with Beatrice, of course. So I can't play with Angie. Or that, too. Play with Beatrice? I mean, you're gonna go off on your own again to mumble to yourself and read some book? Jessica slightly regretted that she hadn't been more tactful. However, she couldn't wipe away that uncomfortable feeling she got every time Maria talked about Beatrice. And that feeling slipped out through her words. And then comes crazy Maria. Yep. Oh! I don't do it on my own! Beto's there too! Maria may be young, but she does know how to read a person's tone. She immediately bursts out in anger, drawing the attention of everyone in the room. Normally, Rosa would have stopped her at this point. However, she had happened to have gone to the bathroom at that moment. Another interesting plot device. Well, obviously that's not one. So there was no one to calm Maria down. Poor Jessica, you're just a clump of the toxin. With Beto's weak magical power now, she'd burn to a crisp if she ever appeared in front of you. But she will appear before you eventually. Yes, in front of everyone else too. And then the door to the Golden Land will open. But who knows if you'll be invited in. Of course, she will take me there, to the Golden Land. But not Jessica. Not Jessica! Not someone who makes fun of Beatrice. Not an unenlightened, stupid, confused, filthy, toxin-stained human. Not Clayton! That's a little overboard, but okay. I mean, that's just kind of Maria's whole character. When someone makes fun of Beatrice, it's like Maria becomes a totally different person. There was a theory about Maria having multiple personalities, wasn't there? Will, when? Are you just reading my mind at this point? Multiple personalities? I wasn't actually expecting them to talk about it immediately this episode. Well, I say immediately, but this is like, what, the 5th episode of this episode? 5th part? I don't know. 6th? I don't remember. Yeah, that probably describes it perfectly. Or maybe that was Maria's idea of an ideal personality. You mean that thing about creating another self the way you want to be? Were they really teasing that as early as chapter 2? Like, when Jessica was talking to, Canon about, like, being the best version of himself? God damn it. Oh my god. Everything comes full circle in this game. Huh? How'd you know my motto? Don't think too hard on it. You'll just get a headache. That seems to be Will's fucking, motto. Also, why is Jessica's sprite here so fucking smug? It was something Jessica once told Canon. She had been talking about how anyone can create another self in the image of the person they want to be. Fuck, man, why? Oh my god. That's really good writing, at least. I think we heard those words somewhere near the beginning of the second game. Yup. Now I think about it, some very interesting stuff's been mentioned since very early on. Everyone has a self they really want to become, but they can't do it. Their current self is always surrounded by their lifestyle and the limits placed on them, so they have no way of changing themselves. True. Changing yourself means changing your environment as well. It's not easy to do. So my idea was to leave who I am now alone. I'd create another self, one that I really wanted to be. You felt suffocated, forced to live the life of a rich family's daughter, and you envisioned the self that you wanted to be. But I couldn't do anything outlandish at home, of course. Mom would just start yelling at me. So I made my plan. At home, I'd obediently do what my parents said, to an extent, but I'd also create a second self to do what I wanted. At home, you did everything your parents told you to, and outside, you did what you wanted. That's a good way to live. You should be proud. Thanks! And well, if there's something you really want to be, and you really work for it, it's easier to do than you'd think. I figured Maria was pretty much the same. You think Maria's doing the same thing when she gets excited and starts talking and talking? Sometimes, I think that's the person Maria really wants to be. As the youngest member of the family, she's adored but not respected. Every time she learns something, there's always someone in the family who already knows it. She doesn't get to show off her knowledge about anything. Whenever she does learn something new, we try to smile and praise her, but that might have actually hurt her. So Maria wanted to become an authority on something. It's something that all young boys and girls think when they want to shake off their childhood. It's not a bad feeling when you learn something new and your parents praise you. But when you realize that your parents already knew that thing, it sometimes feels like they're talking down to you. Yeah. When a kid learns their one-digit times table, their parents will probably praise them. However, inconsiderate parents will sometimes ask mean questions, like, then what's 11 times 11, or what's 16 times 16, or something similar. If that happens, the kid will lose his feeling of accomplishment and will start to feel as though he can never surpass his parents. So it's easy to guess why Maria got interested in the occult, something no one else knew about, and started learning more and more about it. I think the person Maria wants to be is an authority on the occult who everyone respects. And if she talked about the occult during her everyday life, Rosa would hit her. So like you, she's been hiding this other self most of the time. That's what I think she's doing at times like this. Maybe I should say that this is her real self slipping through the cracks to cover up her normal self. Actually, I've had some experience with that myself. I thought at times it'd be nice to become a frail, secluded lady, so I'd pretend to cough a lot and it sort of became a bad habit. Wait, what? Is your asthma faked? Because everyone would be nice to you if you started having coughing fits? No. Whenever the conversation turned to something I didn't like, something that made me feel uncomfortable, I could do that to change the subject. I see. And that's another self you wanted to become. I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell anyone about that. So her asthma is fucking faked? Are you kidding me? Like, that shouldn't be such a big revelation, but it sort of is. Then, just what is Maria's other self? An authority on the occult who can out-argue even adults? Or else does it have to do with her relationship with witches? Either way, denying Beatrice in front of Maria is clearly taboo. In her search for something more than her everyday life, Maria found it in Beatrice and inside herself. In that case, is going to the Golden Land with Beatrice Maria's wish? Looks like we've gone off track. Anyway, Maria kept up that tantrum until Aunt Rosa got back. I should have let her be, but I fought back. You said there was no way Beatrice could exist? Something like that. If she exists, then just let me see her. Of course, once Maria started crying, I realized I'd gone too far. And then? At the end of the family conference, I was the only one still upset. Maria acted as though nothing had happened. Instead, she went off somewhere on her own, and came back talking happily about how she'd played with Beatrice again. Everyone, me included, decided not to contradict her. Did she go to Kuadorian? By that time, it was best to just accept it and ignore it. Is that all you have to say about the family conference? About the conference, yes. What I want to talk about is what happened after the conference was over and everyone left. Even after the conference ended, I still felt a bit uncomfortable. If Maria had just stayed mad, we would have made up with each other and I could have put it all behind me. But since Maria got over it, it felt like I was the only one unsatisfied. Oh, milady, why the gloomy face? Oh, it's you. It's nothing important. Did everyone make it back okay? If they're still on schedule, they should have reached the Nijima airport by now. You've done your part well, milady. I haven't done anything. It's you servants who've done a great job. Are you still upset by that fight you had with Maria yesterday? Sorta. She's just a kid, right? It's not something you need to worry about, all grown up and in high school. Do you think all that was just a kid's nonsense? You mean about Beatrice? See, even you call her Sama. Beatrice is the name of grandfather's mistress, the person he's still infatuated with. I realize that, as a servant, Kumasawa can't speak of her indiscreetly. Still, that's now become the name of the fictitious witch who lives in this mansion, and it's almost natural for people to call her Sama. Beatrice is just a ghost story created by the adults to stop us from wandering into the forest. Maria just thought it was interesting one day, and decided to act like it was true. Oh, if you say such things, you'll end up regretting it. After all, Beatrice-sama exists. Ha ha ha. The fucking quotation marks for exists. Same thing happened with Maria in the first game. Genji, Kumasawa, they've always said exists in quotation marks. So yeah, Maria is an accomplice in every game, isn't she? Interesting. Again, when you say stuff like that, you're just freaking me out. I may not be George, but I'm not gonna go around shouting that Santa couldn't possibly exist. But that doesn't mean he actually exists. You'll find you're wrong there, milady. Wrong? Oh yes, the gods dwell in all things. In the same way, Beatrice dwells in this mansion. Like the gods, Beatrice will do no harm if you respect her. As you say, it will be as though she doesn't exist. However, if you ever fail to show proper respect, her curse will descend upon you. Of course, this doesn't apply only to Beatrice. If there's a curse, let's see it. I'd just love to meet her. Milady, you mustn't say such things. Is the curse like an alternate personality or something? Probably not, but... Ah, milady!
You did a fine job today.
Shannon, Goda, you guys know about Beatrice, right? Huh?
Well, I do know of her, of course. Why do you ask?
The two looked at each other. They looked like a pair who had just heard a clueless person suddenly utter a forbidden word. Let's have it straight. Does she exist? That ghost?
If it's a question of whether she exists or not, I would have to say she doesn't. Probably.
I'm sure she exists. Why? Have you ever met her? I've never met her directly, but...
I wonder why.
Shannon spoke in detail of how she'd sometimes feel a strange presence or see a silhouette while doing the midnight rounds. And each time she started, Jessica would immediately cut her off, saying she must have seen it wrong or been mistaken. Kinda acting like Erica here, Jessica. At least you're not as obnoxious and blue. You haven't met her either, right, Koda?
Of course not. However, well...
He was being very evasive. Even a man as big as Goda was apparently unable to deny the existence of someone he never met. This really didn't sit well with Jessica. She was a resident of this mansion herself. They were acting as though someone else, someone she didn't know, was living here. Of course she didn't like it. Now, wait a sec! Tell me that story one more time.
Huh? Which do you mean?
The story about the VIP room? Goda and Shannon had been recounting several ghost stories about Beatrice. One of those drew a reaction from Jessica. Yeah, that one! Sounds pretty cool! Goda and Shannon glanced at each other. After all, it hadn't been a cool story to either of them.
You mean that you mustn't enter the VIP room at 2 in the morning?
The one about how Beatrice returns to the VIP room every morning at 2. So you mustn't go near it? Yeah, that's it. Pretty cool. All the other stories about people saying they heard or saw something Beatrice like. But this one isn't. This one says that if you go into the VIP room at 2 o'clock, you can actually meet Beatrice.
Well, I wonder.
Milady, they say that servants who speak ill of Beatrice are cursed. Furthermore, the VIP room is Beatrice's room.
Even you, milady, should probably reconsider.
The VIP room is locked now, right? Where's the key?
Was that key in the key box?
I think Genji keeps that key by his own chair. The master key can unlock it too, right? Let me borrow yours. But I cannot do that.
You have 2 anyway, Shannon. It doesn't matter. Milady, there's no need to approach such an ill-omened place without reason.
Hey, don't you go calling my house ill-omened. Anyway, I've made up my mind. That actually fucking reminds me. If Shannon has 2 master keys, then doesn't that mean when Rosa collected them in the second game, Shannon still had one? If you can't give me your master key, there's still that key for the VIP room, right? Let me borrow it. Milady. To Jessica, the expressions worn by the pair felt more like an ill omen than anything else did. In Jessica's eyes, the ill omen thing wasn't the witch or the VIP room, it was them, Maria and the others who believed in witches. In the end, Jessica forced them to agree and she made them bring her the key to the VIP room. So you went on a classic test of courage to see if Beatrice would really appear in the VIP room or not. Pretty much. Still, I wonder why I was so fixated on doing it. I must still have been brooding over that fight I had with little Maria. Of course, the weather just had to be terrible on that particular night. To be honest, I slightly regretted sticking my nose into something so pointless. But I'd already said so much, and even borrowed the key from them. I couldn't just go to Shannon the next day, have her ask me how it went, and answer, well, I gave up because it was too scary, tehehe. Normally, I go to sleep long before 2 a.m. If Mom found me wandering the corridors at that time of night, she'd definitely yell at me. So I waited in my room, staring at the hands of my clock as it ticked closer to 2. Outside, the rain was incredible, and the wind strong. The swaying, rustling trees were particularly eerie. I'd complained to Shannon and Goda about making up ghost stories about my house, but I was starting to feel like those ghost stories might not be so impossible after all. The Ushiromiya mansion is huge. Honestly, I can't think of the entire mansion as my own house. As Mom says, the hallways of the Ushiromiya mansion should be treated like public roads. In other words, my own room is part of my home, but the hallways and the rooms I don't usually enter are outside. So while part of me felt that this VIP room ghost story was ridiculous, another part of me was so creeped out that it kept frantically trying to convince itself that the first part of me was right. Only 10 minutes left till 2. If I want to be inside the VIP room at 2, I need to get there before then. Guess it's time. Sorry, but I'm not giving up that easy. Nothing's going to happen, I know that. It'll just be a stupid waste of time for a few minutes. I touched the doorknob to the door of my room, and was startled by how unpleasantly cold it was. As long as I stayed in this room, I could laugh off anything. After all, this was my room. But it wouldn't be like that in the hallway. That's outside my territory. And the doorknob, the barrier between the two, is ice cold. Idiot. What are you so scared of, me? Don't tell me you're giving up already. You aren't taking Shannon's, Goda's, or maybe Kumasawa's gossip seriously, are you? I'll prove it. There's nothing strange in the VIP room. The corridor was only dimly lit. Before lights out time, the hallways were brighter. But to avoid wasting energy or something like that, we kept the lights to a minimum at night. So even though I was inside my own house, it was very clearly the middle of the night here. If Mom found out that I was wandering around at a time like this to do a test of courage in the VIP room, which I'm not even supposed to go in, I'd get in a lot of trouble. To make sure she didn't find out, I tried to hide my breathing and my footsteps. So the silence felt unbelievably loud. Even though it was so quiet, that eerie sound of the wind was noisy. The sound of twigs rustling. The sound of some pillar in this old mansion creaking. What's that sound like a beak tapping against glass? Though it was so quiet, all of the little suspicious sounds made it seem noisy. Damn, I'm an idiot. Why couldn't I have brought a flashlight at least? A flashlight to use inside my own home? Huh, that's even more idiotic. I mumbled this to myself, hoping it would drown out the sound of the wind just a little. Then I saw it. The door to the VIP room. This was the VIP room, the room for important guests. However, as far as I knew, it had never been used before. None of the guests who came to this mansion were important enough to be given use of this room. Though I'd been clutching that key the whole time, it didn't feel warm at all. It so ruthlessly and icily tormented me. Or maybe that was a warning. If you go back to your comfortable room and hide in your bed, this night will pass like any other. Don't mess with me. I can't give up after coming this far. Even though the key was freezing in my hand, telling me to go back, It slipped into the keyhole quite easily. All that's left is to turn the knob, open it, and I'll be inside the VIP room. It's not like I've never been in there before. Long ago I explored and played hide and seek all the time, and this room that I rarely entered seemed unusual and exciting. However, I got in trouble for going in, and was told that this room was important, so one mustn't enter without reason. After that, they made a rule of locking up unused rooms, and I couldn't go in anymore. So, it's probably been several years since I've gone into the VIP room. In fact, it might be more than 10 years since the last time. The inside of the room has probably changed from how I remember it. Come to think of it, even then, I felt that there was something unsettling about it. Slowly, I pushed the door open. The door was light, and even after I let go of it, it kept opening by itself as though beckoning me in. Beyond it was a darkness as thick and heavy as ink. Even the dim light that peeked in from the corridor seemed bright in contrast. Gulp. I stuck my head in, feeling about for the light switch next to the doorway. This was a horribly awkward and uncomfortable way to do it. All I really had to do was step inside and search for the switch from there. Unwilling to take even a single step into the room, I timidly stuck just my arm into the darkness and felt along the wall. There. Click. The switch, which was hardly ever used, felt stiff and lifeless. However, once the light turned on, the darkness vanished in an instant. And there, exactly as it had been, as though not a thing had changed in all these years, was the VIP room. The curtain and bed cover might have been slightly different, and maybe the chairs and the like had changed too. Still, if I had to put it in words, I'd call it the feel. The stiff, lifeless feel of this room hadn't changed. If I hang around here, someone might find me. I'd rather not have Mom find me here. I readied myself. Though I couldn't bring myself to enter this room when the lights were out, I finally entered. As soon as I closed the door, I felt an oppressive, suffocating sensation. Alright, I've shut myself up in the VIP room. Bring it, Beatrice. What time is it? Wait, what time is it now? I looked around the room, but I couldn't see any clock. I'm not in the habit of wearing a watch around the house. Damn. Now I'm not sure what time it is. Still, I know there's only a few minutes left at most. I tried to suppress my desire to use going to get a clock as an excuse to run away from this place. Even so, just standing around like this was boring. When I looked around again, searching for something to sit on, I found something strange. What's this? If it's a letter... Huh? It had been placed on the side table next to the bed. If this room had been used often, I'd have thought it was just one of the owner's personal belongings. But no one lived in this room, so this can't belong to the room's owner. What is this, an offering or something? Creepy. It really did look like an offering. A small French doll was sitting on the side table. The doll's hair was gold. It was wearing a black dress. Just who managed to find this doll? And where? There's no doubt that someone placed the doll here to symbolize Beatrice. Does that mean this doll is supposed to be the owner of this room or something? And looking like an offering to that owner, there sat a small plate with several cookies and wrapped chocolates. It was all set out neatly and there was no dust piled on top of the doll. In other words, both the doll and the offering were taken care of on a regular basis by the servants, kept in good condition along with the rest of the room. Taken care of? No, it's more than that. It looked like an offering, no, like some sort of worship. A prayer saying, please don't curse us. So even though the doll was more than eerie enough by itself, viscerally, it was even more unnerving to imagine it been kept safe and worshipped in a place like this. Stupid. Am I supposed to clap my hands together and say, please don't curse me? Jessica forced herself to look away from the bizarre doll. She couldn't bring herself to sit on a bed that wasn't hers. Then again, she didn't really feel like sitting down on a chair either. She had lost any desire to sit on anything in this room. I wandered about aimlessly, then peeked out the window through the gaps in the curtains to stare at the dark, rainy night. What the hell am I doing? Hanging about in the VIP room this way just because of that fight with Maria is still eating at me. This is totally pointless. Beatrice. Just when did that strange witch start living in this mansion? Grandfather's always yelling about Beatrice. Since it's apparently the name of his dead mistress, people started talking about how her ghost must haunt this mansion. There's that kid's horror story about the witch in the forest, which might be a ghost story made by the adults to stop the kids from going in there. The portrait grandfather had hung in April was really striking. And there was also that weird epitaph. The creepy words on that, which sound like some sort of ceremony with human sacrifices, made the name of Beatrice seem all the more unnerving. At some point, those stories mixed together, and now people say that the witch, Beatrice, exists. I don't believe in Beatrice, because I know she's just a fictional person made by the fusion of a few horror stories. The Beatrice who was grandfather's mistress probably did exist, but she wasn't a witch. The story of the witch of the forest was made up by the adults to prevent their kids from getting lost in the woods. But that was just a made-up story, not reality. In fact, I've heard that the adults here once scared the kids with stories about wolves living in the forest. Apparently, the kids realized that wolves couldn't possibly be there, so it was changed to the witch. That actually reminds me, in the third game, I think it was, when Rosa met Beatrice, Beatrice said something like, "Oh, you're sure there aren't wolves out there?" Or something like that. So I guess she was told that lie too. When the portrait was hung, that once vague character suddenly had a face, and people acted as though she'd been around since long ago. That's right, it's all a ghost story someone made. A fiction. And Maria calls Beatrice her best friend, and the servants worship her like a household shrine. I just don't get it, and it creeps me out. Oh boy. The sudden ring of the phone made me jump so hard I thought my heart would explode. There was a phone on the bedside table across from the one with the doll, and it was ringing noisily. However, I was only surprised by the first ring. By the time it had rung 3 times, I'd regained my cool enough to grumble about this being a prank done by someone to scare me. If I rush to pick it up, I'll probably hear someone laughing at me saying, "Were you scared?" I thought about ignoring it instead, but it kept on ringing incessantly. It was a pretty loud sound to have going on and on this late at night. If Mom somehow manages to hear it from her room, I'm screwed. Okay, I've got it. Might as well say you scared me or whatever. I decided to pick up the receiver. I'll just say, that surprised me, wahahaha. And maybe follow that up with, looks like Beatrice didn't show up after all. After all, this is my victory in a sense. Hello? What? Hi Beatrice! Huh? Maria? Huh. I don't get it. Did I hear that wrong? Why would Maria be calling here? Hello? Thanks for teaching me that fun song last time. In return, I'm gonna sing you a song, Beatrice. I just learned this one. Oh! The voice, the intonation, the manner of speech, all of it clearly belonged to Maria. But what's she talking about all by herself? Maria just kept on talking happily as I stood there, stunned and unable to interrupt. Eventually, Maria started singing an old, familiar kid's song that even I knew.
Wow.
I don't get it. Maria? Hello? Wait a sec, stop singing. What's going on? I don't get it. Hello? Ugh. The voice and the lights. Everything disappeared. In the pitch black, I couldn't see anything. Couldn't tell what was happening. I don't get it. What's going on? Oh, what the? What the hell was that? This being in darkness really slows humans down so much. I know it's dark, but I really have absolutely no idea what just happened. What was that shuffling sound just now? I'm not sure. I can't explain it.
Huh.
I heard an incredible slithering sound, like someone crawling out of a bed. I didn't think I'd heard it. It wasn't that vague. I definitely heard it happen, right next to me, clearly. However, there was no change to the bed. No one had been sleeping there in the first place, and the sheets were still perfectly straight. Someone had crawled out of the bed, and had laughed in a creepy voice before leaving the room. That's what it felt like. Felt like? I'm here, and the bed's right there. I'm not only in the same room, I'm right next to it. So, why am I so unsure about what happened just a few seconds ago? I gripped the receiver, which had gone completely silent, and waited there alone, unable to move, in a quiet room that seemed exactly identical to the one I'd entered. Huh? What? If nothing's changed since the beginning, I can just pretend that the last minute or so didn't happen. And yet if something has changed, that would prove that something really did happen. The hell? Where'd it go? Did it fall to the floor? No, it's not there. No matter where I look, from whatever angle, it's not there. The offering plate with the cookies and chocolate is still here, but the thing they were being offered to. The doll is gone. No way. Then what just happened? Is the Beatrice doll supposed to have cackled out loud and left the room? No, that crawling sound was too loud to have been made by a doll. It was a noisy sort of sound, like a kid playing with a blanket and using it as a cape. Then what? Is that Beatrice doll supposed to have turned into a human and then run cackling from the room? No way. After that, nothing happened. The doll alone disappeared and nothing else changed. In a VIP room that had remained completely unchanged and was filled only with the sound of wind and rain, I stood there, too shocked to move. Did you ever find that doll? I looked everywhere, even under the bed, but I didn't find it. Just what did you think had happened in that room? I don't think it was actually Beatrice's curse. Might have been a prank done by the servants. A prank? Maybe they recorded Maria's voice beforehand. They then called it exactly 2 and pushed the play button. They could have cut the power at the switchboard or something. Then someone who'd been hiding in the VIP room would make a creepy laugh, take the doll, and leave. If that's how it's happened, everything fits. Doesn't sound like you're really convinced. No kidding. After all, if that was just a prank to scare me, the scale was way too large. They made Maria sing beforehand and recorded it. Then someone called the VIP room and replayed that recording. Then someone waited until exactly the right time and tripped the breaker for the VIP room. To turn off the power to the VIP room, you'd have to go to the basement. There's a switchboard booth down in the boiler room. There's no phone line down there, so you need a different person to play back Maria's tape. And you need another person to hide in the VIP room and cackle before leaving. And just how long would this last person have to hide in the VIP room beforehand? How long would they have to hide in the pitch black VIP room? Under the bed, for example. Waiting to scare Jessica, who might or might not even come. There's no way it could be a witch's curse, but still. To me, it's even creepier to imagine that many people planning everything down to the slightest detail, and waiting for several hours in the darkness just to scare me. I agree. A curse would be better. Did you ask the servants about that later on? What's the point? They just play dumb, of course. There had to have been at least 3 of them. On that day, Genji, Goda, Kumasawa, and Shannon stayed the night. So 3 of those 4 helped out with that creepy prank? It doesn't make sense. Well, Genji and Kumasawa seem to be accomplices to Shannon, Can, and Beatrice, and Shannon was there, so yeah. That's why I couldn't ask about it. True, it had been a strange experience for her, but it wasn't something completely impossible for humans to do. Even so, it really must have been more unnerving to imagine a large number of people planning so carefully just to scare Jessica. It's no surprise that Jessica found this scarier than Beatrice's curse. Do you still believe the servants tricked you? No. I was probably scared and mistook what I saw and heard. The doll probably just fell somewhere, and I just had trouble finding it. Are you trying to say you imagined the whole thing? Other than the doll disappearing, there was no other proof that anything had changed. Later on, I talked to Maria, And she said she didn't know anything about that song or the phone call. I don't know if she was lying or not, of course. Anyway, what happened that night is just something I thought happened, and there's no proof of any kind. That's ironic. Even if you claimed to have met Beatrice directly, you would have been just as unable to prove it. The shock lasted for a while, but as time passed, I began to think that lightning or something must have shut off the power for a second. And maybe one of the trees in the garden fell, which I mistook for that slithering sound. And the laugh. Maybe some strange bird. Anyway, I might have misheard something to get that sound. I act tough, but you wouldn't believe how much of a coward I actually am. That's why I let my imagination get a hold of me. I tried to use that as an excuse to help me forget everything that happened that night. And everything is enshrouded in darkness. People are actually pretty good at forgetting things if they try. After that night, I'd feel uncomfortable every time I heard the word Beatrice. But I tried hard not to let it show on my face. That's all. I can't tell you any more than that. It's kind of embarrassing, so please don't tell anyone. I don't want them knowing I'm a chicken. Sure thing. I have one last question. About the VIP room? No. About the dining hall. The dining hall? On the day of the family conference, just before your ghost story, all of the relatives were gathered in the dining hall, right? Yeah, except Battler hadn't come back to the family yet. Everyone else was there. Everyone except Grandfather, of course. And Angie wasn't in the room because of her stomach ache. Her seat was next to yours, wasn't it? Yep. Was that the seat to your right? Yeah, the seat to my right. Why does it matter? Wait, that's strange. Why to the... That's enough. Try not to think, you'll just get a headache. Well, okay, then. Does she sit on the left side of the table or the right side of the table? Wait, okay. With Leon here, how the ranking order should go, I'd assume he's second or third. So, it should be 1, 2 left. And then 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 3, 4, 5, 6 Rosa. Then it should be 7, 8, 9, 10. 7, 8, 9, 10. So she's 7, she's on that side of the table. She's on the right side of the table, so to her right should have been Rudolph. That's something. That is really weird. Like, under normal circumstances, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So left side of the table. 7, 8. If Battler's not there, then yes, that makes sense. What's up, Jessica? Why the confused look? Well, right. Left. You're so weird. How's it going, Will? Have George and Jessica told you anything useful? A bit. That ghost story about Beatrice was pretty fun. A ghost story? What kind of story? The one about Beatrice's ghost appearing in the VIP room at 2 in the morning. It was pretty creepy. I've never heard of that. I don't know who put that out there, but that'd be really rude, making up ghost stories about the woman our head is indebted to. A model answer. What? Do you know about the epitaph, Leon? Epitaph? What epitaph? That epitaph by Beatrice's portrait. My apologies, but I have no idea what you mean. Behold the Sweetfish River running through my beloved hometown. What on earth are you talking about? So in your world, now in this world, the portrait exists but not the epitaph. Of course, I know about the large portrait of Beatrice hanging in the entrance hall, but I haven't heard of this epitaph. What is it? That's a very interesting difference. You lived on Rokenjima all your life, right? Of course. What's your point? When you were a little kid, you were told not to go near the woods, threatened about it. Yes. They always said to stay away since it would be dangerous if we got lost. Because a witch lives in the forest? A witch? What witch? The Golden Witch, ruler of Rokenjima's night. Beatrice. Beatrice is a woman to whom grandfather owes a great debt. Don't you think it's a bit rude to treat her like a witch or a ghost? Huh. You don't know about the witch, Beatrice. I know about the Beatrice who came here in a submarine along with the gold, and about her daughter who was raised in the Hidden Mansion. We just learned about those two together a short while ago, right? Where does the witch come in?
I see, so that's it. Then how did they scare you to keep you from going into the woods?
They said that wolves lived in the forest.
Wolves, but not a witch. I see. That's interesting.
And not to me. What are you talking about? What is this witch?
I'm just talking to myself. I have one more question.
Please, go ahead.
During the family conference, who sits here right at the dining table?
My little sister, Jessica, sits across from me.
Oh. Then you sit with the children. Okay, so it's a different ranking from that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then it does make sense. Huh.
The next in rank is Aunt Eva's son. So George is the one on my right. What's your point?
I get it. It's all mashed together in a confusing mess, but it is interesting.
Well, I'm still in the dark here.
Okay, what's with these different scenes ending just randomly, it seems? That is an interesting conundrum. I don't really get it, though. Like, why would it matter if Angie sits to Jessica's right? If Battler wasn't there, then it would be Angie next. Because it's not by the age of the cousins, it's by the age of, like, siblings. And then the cousins by which of the siblings they were born from. So, let me just make sure about this again. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Angie would be 9. Or Battler would be 9. Angie, 10. If Battler's not there, does the 9th seat just get left empty? Is that how that works? So then Angie sits across from Battler as 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's interesting. Well, either way, that's where I'm gonna end this episode, so next time, it finally won't be pre-recorded. Haha! See you guys when I basically finish high school. That's gonna be it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, be sure to press the like button, and if you didn't like it, fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!